Hey y'all, happy Thursday. Happy December 20th. We're in the home stretch to Christmas. A few days left. Let me turn my iPad down here so I'm not blasting anyone out. How's everybody tonight? I am ready to be done with stuff. To be quite honest with you, this is my last thing before Christmas. So I'm excited to have a little bit of a break. Hello, hello. Okay, so I figured since it's being so close to Christmas, we would go ahead and do a fun New Year's design. So that's what we're going to be working on. So before I show you, I'm actually going to alternate between two cookies. Hey Francis, I'm going to alternate between two cookies because of the drying time, and we're not doing like anything really crazy. This probably won't take too long. But I had some fun stencils that I got. I got some new ones from Stencibelle. She's in Australia. So I wanted to. Oh, thank you for sharing, Kathy. I wanted to show you a couple of really cool things. If you want to put in the keyword for tonight, it is 2019 2019, and that will give you some of the links to the stuff that I'm using tonight. Hey Kelly. Hey Ann. Hey Robin. Yes, happy almost Christmas to everyone. I can't believe it's almost here. It's crazy. Okay, so let me, before I get going, let me put my phone on silent. Okay, so this stencil is already used because you'll see in a second why I did it. Like I said, we're going to bounce between two cookies because I'm going to be doing some airbrushing and then also some stenciling with royal icing. So I used this once on one cookie. It's a two-piece stencil. This is from Stencibelle. And one has like the round clock face, and then this has like the little hands, like the bigger hand and the small hand, so that you can do it in pieces. This is what it looks like. So you can either do it central on the cookie, you can do it wherever you want. I wanted to do this off to the side a little bit because, hey Jenny, hey Jane, hey Peggy. I wanted to do it off to the side because I figured we would do something cute. This is a fireworks stencil, and this is from the Cookie Countess. So I figured we would do something cute and layer some, little bursting fireworks off to the side of the clock. And we'll do that with some royal icing. Hey Faye. Hey Diane. So, I have two cookies here, and I just flooded these in with white earlier today. They're the same shape. I went ahead and airbrushed this one on. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how I airbrush this on this one. This one's already dry so that we can go through and do our royal icing stenciling on this one. So we wouldn't have to, wait in between me airbrushing. So the first thing I'm going to start with actually is we're going to do some fireworks. We're going to do, because here's the colors I decided on. I was kind of bouncing back and forth, and I didn't want the fireworks to look really like patriotic because that's not really what I'm going for. I'm just going for a firework look. So I am using red. I figure we use red, and we're going to use some fun red jewel dust to make them look extra sparkly. And then I have just some gray. And then on top of the gray, which originally, and Carrie's going to kill me for this, originally I was going to just use regular, like a white kind of translucent jewel dust. But I'm going to use the Roxy and Rich tonight. And I don't know if we already have this in our links. If not, I'll throw it in the comments after the live is over. But it's, I got this one from the Cookie Countess, and it's kind of like a glitter. It gives like a nice shimmer. So we'll use that over the gray. Hey Kelly, thanks for sharing. Hey Ann. Hey Judy. Okay, so like I said, I have the two cookies just because we're going to bounce back and forth. So I'm going to move this one out of the way. We'll do some airbrushing on that in just a few minutes. And let me get my little metal tray out here. I kind of have tools everywhere, y'all. Let me just tell you, after this week of making all the cookies and having my pop-up and all the orders, I'm just like, oh my gosh. I love cookies, but I can't wait to not be around cookies for just a few days. Okay, so if you've ever seen me do the royal icing stenciling, I just use like a little metal tray. You can get these at the dollar store or wherever. Just a little cheap cookie tray. And then I have these little round magnets, and this is 3 of them stacked. And I'll put these in all 4 corners of the cookie. And I stack up 3 just because my cookies are thicker. If you're using like a 1/4 inch cookie, you know, you could probably use 1 or 2 or something, depending on how high the cookie is. Did it, Judy? Do you live in a really dry climate? When the air is really dry here, mine doesn't crack, but it'll dry like super duper fast. Oh, Belinda, the pop-up went really well. Thanks for asking. I almost completely sold out, so it was a success. Okay, so for this stencil, like I said, this has 3 different size fireworks on it. It has a bigger one, like this little medium, and a little bit of a smaller. I figured I'm going to let it overlap just a little bit, and then maybe just come off the cookie on the edge. I don't want it to be like, you know, completely overtaking the clock. I want the clock to still kind of be like the centerpiece so we know what it is. So we're just going to go with it this way. I kind of want to place it right here. And I think I'm going to move my magnets, because see, if you see, my stencil is not completely centered over the cookie. It's off to the side a bit. So I'm going to place that there. You're in New York? Not sure. I can tell you, I've never had icing crack on me before when it was in the process of drying. Alright, so I'm just putting a single magnet on top just to hold our stencil in place so it's not going to move around. I think I'm going to go ahead and start with the gray, just because if I do the gray first, then when I go to do the red, you know, the gray, this Roxy Enrich that I'm using is a lighter color. So if it goes kind of all over the place, it's not going to be all over like the red will, if that makes sense. In my brain, it makes sense. Hey, Gloria. Okay, so the consistencies that I'm using, they're pretty thick. I mean, I would say it's like maybe toothpaste, maybe a tad thicker than that. Okay? And this little scraper I'm using is a Stencibel. I got it with the Stencil Snap that you can, it's kind of like the Stencil Genie that you can use to put stencils in, which I'll show you that here in a little bit. And Carrie's going to kill me again because I just decided to use it. And we don't have a link for it up on our product page yet. So when we're all said and done, I'll make sure we add it. Hey, Melissa. Okay, so I just have a little bit on the end here. And I'm just going to go ahead and start spreading this over the top. And this is not my original design idea, by the way. I just kind of saw a picture that was somewhat like this. Kind of somewhat like it. I'm not doing anything exactly like it at all. But I wanted to do something kind of like it because I thought the idea was kind of cute. But mine's different in that it's not the same fireworks, different colors, different clock, just kind of like the same type thing. Hey, Loretta. Okay, so if you saw, I put down just a kind of a thin layer and then I went back and scraped. I really like this scraper. It's become like my favorite. I used to tell you all I like the one from Creative Cookie or the Genie, but I really like this one. So now I'm going to go in with the Roxy and the Rich. And I'm just going to put some of that on top here where we put our icing down. And I'm doing it before we pull up the stencil because then when we pull up the stencil, most of that is only, you know, most of it that we just put down, it's only going to stick to that icing through the stencil. Hey, Marilee, thanks for sharing. Yes, Melissa, I finished. I'm done. Like, stick a fork in me, I'm done. Okay. So there's one. Belinda, it's kind of flexible. It's not super flexible, but it has a little bit of flex to it. I think it kind of has the perfect amount. It's just really comfortable to use. I really like it. I'm assuming you can probably buy these outside of the Stencil Snap. I don't even know if you can. I just got it with mine and I tried it and I loved it. And when I take it off, I just wipe the excess off the scraper on the side of here, my little container. I just keep the thicker icings like this in little containers. Just makes it easier. I know, I heard you said that. That's crazy, Melissa. Robin, we do. I have my, we have our Cookie Crew class, and that is on the 27th. So I have a nice break really until then. Okay. So I am going to move this aside because I want to give, this won't take long at all to dry, the icing we just put down, but I want to give it just a second. While we're doing that, I can show you how I airbrushed this on, the clock. And then we'll come back and add the second firework. Francis, you're sweet. Thank you. All right, let me move this down so y'all can see. Yeah, Robin, it's an online tutorial group. And by the way, y'all, if you are interested in that or if you've been thinking about it, the doors are opening for our next month on the 31st. And I hope I didn't dry out this color. I did like the cardinal sin and I left some color sitting in my airbrush gun, maybe for only like 20 minutes, and I'm hoping it didn't dry it out. Oh, good. We're good. Okay, we're good. We're good. All right, so what I'm going to do is, I think I used my Genie when I did this. I need to remember. I'm sure that does suck, Melissa. I can only imagine. So I'm going to knock on wood when I say this, but I have yet to break a bone. And I don't really want to know what that's like either. Well, I should take that back. I had a broken arm when I was born, but obviously I don't remember that. So that's a whole different story. I'm trying to remember how I put this on. I think I was able to do it. Okay, so I'm going to move the cookie a little bit so I can remember how I had this. Yeah, I did. Okay. So if y'all can see that, I just put the cookie like up in the corner, and you could use the stencil snap if you wanted to, because it opens up, which I'll show that to you here in just a second so you can see what I'm talking about. But it opens up for wider so that you have more room. You're not just confined to this frame for your cookie. It gives it where you can open up to a bigger space. But for this purpose, this fits pretty well. And I'm going to straighten out my cookie a little bit. Okay, so that's how I got in the corner, so I'll just show you. So all I simply did was, this is the first part of the stencil, and I have just regular black airbrush color in my gun. So I just go in here and I start lightly adding layers. Is my countertop a glitter? My countertop looks kind of like a stone, like a brown stone. It doesn't have glitter in it. It does if I have glitter out and I'm working with it, but it's just kind of like a stone color. But I think you're talking about the background. That's the frame on our software that we're using. I wish my countertop looked like that. That's really pretty. But that's like a confetti background on the frame. Okay, so that's just the clock face. So now we'll have to go in and we're going to add in the hands. And I'm going to show you what the stencil snap looks like because I used that. And you'll see why here in a second. I used that to do the hands. And if you don't have it, you can do it without it as well. We grab... Hey, Corinne. Like I said, it's not completely my unique idea. I saw one kind of like it, and I thought it was cute, so we would just go with it. Okay, so here's the stencil snap. So I'm not going to zoom all the way out, but you can see, right? So it has all of, I'll open it up and I'll show you. And Sweet Sugar Belle makes this. It has all these little notches, right? So that you can adjust to maybe a bigger stencil, like a longer stencil, versus just where the Genie is only one size. You can see I already have it sized out one more. Like if it were in these notches here, that's the size of the stencil Genie. But you can make it into much longer or even shorter, little, smaller stencils. So I like it for that. It doesn't take long at all, Zona. Like if I run my finger across that, that's dry already. It doesn't take long at all. So, okay, I'm going to move this off of this tray because it's going to be in my way. We'll come back to that in a second. While our other cookie is drying. Okay, I'm going to put this in here because, let me just tell you, when I was piecing this together, I was like, okay, how am I going to get to all of these pieces on this cookie? Because these stencils are meant, I think, probably, primarily for them to be in the center of a cookie, not off to the side. So I was like, all right, well, we're going to have to figure this out a different way. And I'm not a huge fan of just holding the stencil and airbrushing. I'm not that graceful, and I'll just make a mess. All right, so I think how I did this, let me turn this. I have it in here opposite of the way I had it before. So you can see I had it, like I said, one more notch bigger than the stencil genie size. Ooh, you see, y'all, I'm breaking stuff. Hold on. I have it in here one size bigger than the genie is. Sorry, y'all, I just knocked all my pieces out of here like an idiot. All right. All right. Take two. Let me show you. Let me get the stencil placed. So if you can see, right, if I had this in the genie frame, it would cut it off here. But I have it to where I have a little bit more extra room. So if I want to now do this, right, in the genie, it would have been hard if it were cutting off the top of my cookie, if it bumped up against it. But let me scoot this down so you can see. So if you see, I have all that room up there, and I can even extend this one more and have even more room. So it's nice if you need a little bit, you know, of extra. Belinda, I always keep my airbrush on like the high speed for the air, at like the full speed, and I just barely pull back on the trigger. Okay, so I'm just gonna line this up here. And you'll see, because we're not completely attached with the stencil, it's hard for maybe you to see, but it's not laying completely flat. So what I did when I did this part, I just put my finger up here just to help it kind of lay flush. And then you just stencil it. And it's such a tiny little opening that it doesn't really matter. You're not airbrushing very much. It's teeny tiny. Okay, so there's one hand. Then what I did was, if you can see, now this little hand is way over here. And I was like, okay, no, because it's just going to be a hot mess. So at that point, I just said, you know, I'm not fooling with this anymore, and that's what I'm going to do right now. And I'm going to show you, you can just hold the stencil as well with your hand. So let me move all of this out of the way. I just got my cookie room, like, straightened up and cleaned up before my pop-up today, too. And I feel like it's already, like, oh, just getting everything out for the live. I'm like, no, I had it perfect. Okay, so if you can see, like, I just touched this, it's already pretty much dry. I can layer it right over the top. Oh, you did, Jenny? Yeah, the airbrushes are a little bit finicky. You know, it takes a little bit of a learning curve. Okay, so if you can see, I just layered the little one right over the top because we want it pointing at midnight. Of course, you can do this if you want to use this clock for a different time or whatever, you can do that. I want ours both pointing at midnight, obviously. So that's just how you do the airbrush. It was as easy and as quick as that. So that's what I did on the other one ahead of time, just so we wouldn't have to mess around with waiting in between stages of drying between Royal and airbrush. And let me see here. I'm going to go rinse my airbrush as soon as this is over, just because I don't want that to clog. Okay, let's go back to here. So same thing, right? We just are starting to add the fireworks. So if I'm feeling here, this is dry. Like I said, it's such a thick icing, and it's such a small little thin layer that it takes no time at all to dry. So I'm going to go ahead and grab our little sheet, our metal sheet back over here. So we're going to knead it again. Now this time, look what I did, y'all. I can never not be a mess. Okay. So for this one, I'm going to use the smaller, you can see that's kind of hard to see, the smaller little firework. And I'm going to layer it a little bit over the gray one. Okay. So I'm going to get all the magnets over here. So on this one, it's going to be a little bit more centered than the last one was. Like I said, I don't want it to take over the clock too much. I just want it to kind of just barely overlap there. So y'all, next week's live is going to be more of like a Q&A. So any questions you guys have ever had that you're dying to get answers to, if you want to ask me what some of my favorite items are, my products, any of that, we're going to do that next week for the live. I still may play around with a cookie or something, but it won't be like too much of a tutorial. So just start thinking about that if you guys, you know, ever have questions or whatever. Get your questions lined up, because we'll just do like a rapid fire and we'll just go through and do it. Okay, so now I'm going with red. This is the same consistency that we had with the gray. Loading a little bit up here. You don't need a ton. I'm going to move this magnet a little bit. I don't want to get icing all over it. I just cleaned them. Okay, so I'm going to go in here and then just add a thin layer on top. And this is going to come off the edge of the cookie a little bit. All right. These are really simple. If you want to make something for like a New Year's party or something, these would be a hit because they don't take a whole long time. You know, if you're not on a live talking and going slower and stuff, you could just kind of zip through these. You know, you can do all one step with the airbrushing and then come back and do all your step with the Royal, and it wouldn't take that long. All right. So now that we have it all nice scraped, we're going to go in with our red jewel dust. Because again, we like shiny, pretty things, or I do. And I'm going to pump some of this on here. And you could pick whatever colors you wanted. I just thought red and the silvery look with the gray would be pretty. I'm going to take our magnets off. And another tip I'll give you, when I am doing like real icing, what I find easier, and everybody's different, what I find easier is grabbing one side and peeling up and over, not up. Because sometimes I feel like if you pull up and you don't have a thin enough layer, it's going to pull that icing up and give you weird texture, unless you want that. So I'm going to peel this up. Now let me grab one of my tools. So if you can see, just right here we have a little bit that's kind of like poking up. I just take like the end of my thingamajiggy and just scrape that off. Belinda, the ones that I'm using tonight, I believe they're the FDA jewel, the jewel dust that are FDA approved. I do have some that are the ones that are labeled non-toxic, but they're not FDA approved. But I use them in such small amounts that I don't really fuss with it too much. I just turned on my airbrush just for the air. I'm just going to get some of that excess glitter off. I'm not pulling my nozzle down at all. I'm just using the air out of the gun. And I'm just cleaning that up a little bit. And we have links to all this, y'all, on our product page. All the stuff I'm using. The only thing I don't have links to in there yet is the stencil snap. And I don't know if we have the Roxy or Rich or not. I'll have to check it out. Okay. So let me move this out of the way. Out of the way. Okay, so what do y'all think? We can go back in and add fireworks to our other one too. Or maybe just like one big firework or something. Anyway, I think they're cute. And you can see when you move it. This one has like a lot more of it because it's like more of like that actual like really glittery. And the Roxy and Rich, it's still glittery, but it's a little bit more subdued. It's like more of like a really pretty shimmery glitter. So just for fun, let's do this. Let's just add one big firework to this one. We'll do a red since I already have red out. And you know what? I just moved everything out of the way. I just moved everything right out of the way. I'm going to move our tray back. Yeah, you could write I don't know where you'd write Happy New Year though. Like on this one you could if you wanted before you put any fireworks down. But on this one, it'd be kind of tough. Because then you're going to be covering up part of your designs and it'll kind of take away from it. Sona, you should. You already know. Have you all seen Mean Girls? I love it when they say, she's a pusher. I'm a pusher, y'all. I'm going to push you to use your stuff. I'm going to push you to use your airbrush. I'm going to push you to use your tools. Because if you never get them out and play with them, you're never going to realize that you can do stuff with them. Okay, so let's just go in with some more red. We're just going to put like a big firework on this one. Just to have fun. These aren't for anything specific. I would write on there, but I literally did not bag any icing up. Because all I planned on doing was just royal icing stenciling. So I don't have, when I mean I cleaned up everything after my Christmas orders, I am not playing with you. Everything is stored, everything's put away. Like, I'm done. Alright, so I put a thin layer down. We're just going to go and scrape that off. And when you're scraping off, you just want to scrape enough to when you start seeing the design through. And then you know that it's, you know, scraped pretty clean. Let's add some red to this too. Yeah, you could put it in the corner if you wanted to try to do that small, or maybe with like an edible marker or something like that. Okay. Let me cover up my red icing here. My nails need done real bad, y'all. I'm going to go tomorrow. They've been neglected. Okay? So you can see we have a couple little spots right here. I'm just going to lay those down and trim them. This tool is really handy for that. All right. And then I do have some excess glitter here, so I'm going to go in with my airbrush again and just kind of clean that off. For some reason, I feel like I have a tiny, I must have got it onto another part of the stencil. Okay. I'm just going to clean this up. All right. Pretty, right? So like if you did one firework on this, and I'll put it back over, let me get this out of the way. So you could do the 2 fireworks. If you did 1 firework, then you could do something cute and say like happy, like New Year down here. That would be really cute too. Hey Lacey. So the clock face, that's a 2-piece stencil. That is from Stencibelle. And the fireworks are from the Cookie Countess. And we have links on our product page. So if you put in our keyword tonight, which is, it's actually numbers, it's 2019. If you put that in and follow the instructions in your Facebook Messenger after the live, it'll take you to our products page. And we have all of our live links in there for everything that we use. So yeah, these would be really cute for just like a little New Year's party. Like I said, on this one, you could do like happy in the new year, or, you know, 2019 down here, just something like that. That would be really cool. Yeah? Does anybody have any other questions for me about anything that I just did tonight, or any other products I used? Like I said, after the live, I'll go check and see if we have the Roxy and Rich in there. I don't know if we do or not. We'll get it added, and I'll get the link. I'll probably put a link into Michael's, because that's where I got my Stencil-Snap, and I'll tell you, if you use like their coupons and stuff, you can get a really good deal on it. Oh yeah, there's all kinds of things. And y'all, I got so many other cute, actually, you know what? Do y'all want to see a couple of the other New Year's stencils that I got from Stencibelle? I'm going to grab those and I'll show you. Give me 2 seconds. So I have this, it's hard to see it, but this is just some of it. This is huge binder that I have that I keep all my stencils in. I'll have to do a live for y'all one day and show you how I store a lot of my stuff. No, Loretta, I hate cake pops. I hate cake pops. They are not my friend. I hate making them. They're great to eat, but I hate making them. We just don't get along. I don't know why. Okay. So this one you could definitely use for, let me find my other one. This one you can definitely use for like a New Year's. This is really cute. I've seen it used in sets for like a vintage set, like a Roaring 20s set. This would be really cute too. So like pressed for champagne. That was one that I loved. That's from Stencibelle as well. And if you're looking to order from her, I don't know how quick everything's happening because usually her, it's coming from Australia. So her shipping is a little bit, it takes a little bit to get here. But her shop is closing on the 24th until the 31st. But, here's another one, Pop Fizz Clink. So that would be cute. You could do this on another, to go along with a set like that. You could make this, if I were making this in a set for New Year's, I would do one with this. Maybe the press for champagne, I would do this. And then maybe some champagne flute cookies. That would be cute. So you could do all kinds of, you could do, I have a confetti stencil, I think from the Cookie Countess. You could do that on another cookie. Just, there's so many things you could do. She does, Corinne. She has really cool stencils. I love her too. And she's really sweet. Okay. Does anyone have any other questions for me tonight? I wanted to share those with you because I don't even know if I'm going to make New Year's cookies this year. For anybody. I just don't even know. Probably not. But I wanted to have them because I just thought they were adorable. And I got them when she had one of her really good sales. So if no one has any other questions, I think that's going to be it for tonight. So like I said, get your questions together. If you have stumbled into something this next coming week or whatever, or something that happened over your holidays, doing orders, whatever, or making cookies, make a list and we'll meet up next week during my live on Wednesday and we'll talk about, we'll have a rapid fire Q&A. And don't forget, if you're thinking about Cookie Crew, which we'll talk a little bit more about it extensively next week because it'll be right before it, we're open up on the 31st. And if you guys missed our big announcement, we're doing 2 cutters. Every member gets 2 free cutters. So it's a really good deal. So you'll want to get in on that action. Lacey says, you prefer the magnets and pans over a stencil genie. So I prefer the magnets when I'm doing royal icing stenciling, just because, I'll show you. If I'm using a stencil genie, right? So pretend we had a stencil in here, and I'm in here and I'm trying to scrape. Depending on how big the cookie is, let's say the cookie was bigger and it came up to here, it's hard for me to get in between the frame and the cookie to get a good scrape sometimes. Sometimes this frame just gets in the way. So usually when I'm doing royal icing stenciling, I just use the tray and the magnets. But for airbrushing, I will usually use either the Stencil Snap or the Stencil Genie. Coupons for where, Gayan? For Michaels? Is that what you're asking about? I get their coupons just on their website. They load them up for anybody. And they have them every single day for something different. Different percentages off or... Yeah, I can show you real quick how we do the Stencil Snap. Let me zoom out a little bit so you can kind of see a little bit of a bigger image here. Okay. So it comes in all these little pieces, right? All of these snap apart. And let me just get them unsnapped so I can show you. So it's really intimidating, I'll tell you. When I got it, I was like, okay, what do I do with all these? I legit sat and looked at it for a long time and was like, what am I doing? Because I'm used to the Stencil Genie. The Stencil Genie is 2 pieces. You know exactly how it goes together. This was a little bit different. So first off, you'll notice it comes with 2 longer pieces that are of this thickness. So if you can see that. And then it comes with 2 long pieces that are thinner. Right? And then it comes with 2 smaller pieces that have these little tabs with arrows. And 2 of those are thicker. And they have 2 that are thinner to match. Right? So 2 thicker, 2 thinner, 2 thicker, 2 thinner. Okay? The reason for that being is just like the Stencil Genie. So one side of the Stencil Genie frame is thicker, one's thinner. It's to accommodate whether you have a thicker cookie or a thinner cookie, because depending on what side you flip it and use it, it's going to lay more flush against your cookies. For instance, I usually will, my cookies are a little bit thicker, so I usually err with the thicker side of the frame. It just depends on how the stencil is sitting flush with the cookie. So this has, yeah, they are a little bit of a different shade. Like, it's probably hard to tell on here. But the thinner ones are like a little bit lighter. They're like one shade lighter. And when you look at it, it has all these numbers on it, right? So if you flip it to the side, you cannot see these. I know you will not be able to even like see those. But it has these numbers, right? And it'll say like 3, 5, 7, 9. Okay? That's meaning like when you do, this is like a 5 by 5. I believe that, or yeah, I think the Stencil Genie is a 5 by 5 square. So if you were going to put these together and you want to do a 5 by 5, then you would put these where the 5 slots are. So like the 5 are here, right? So we're going to do the thicker side. So you would just match them up. Okay, so there's one side of it. And then you would get the other pieces. So here's my other thick piece. And so on this side, the 5 is the second one here, right? So if you can see, that's the same size as the Stencil Genie, okay? So once you have one side done, all you do is move that out of the way, right? And then you're going to lay down your thinner side. And you're going to do those on the same ones you did on the other one. So 5 by 5 and the 5 by 5. So then when you match them up, they magnetize together. So you can see there's these little magnets. They have all these little magnets across both sides. Then they just come together with the magnets. And then that's your size. Like I said, this matches the same size as the Stencil Genie. But if you wanted it to be longer, it goes all the way out to 9. There's 7s. You can make them smaller in here at the 3s. So it's pretty handy when you want to customize for different sizes. What was decided about girly today? Okay, are you talking to me or are you talking about you talking to somebody else? I think I'm confused. I'm gonna take a drink. Unless she's talking to someone else. I don't know. Yeah, Cheryl, just play around with it. I'm telling you, it took me a little bit. I was like, okay, what happens? And so you can see when I turn it on its side, just like I said with like the Stencil Genie, it has one thicker and the one thinner. So it's just the same thing. You just have to piece it together for what size you want. And it comes with that really cool scraper, and it comes with a really cool like non-slid, like the anti-skid, whatever, the little mat, and it has measurements on it. So that's pretty cool too. But I think when I got this, I got it with like a 60% off coupon. And I, like originally in Michael's, I think they're $24.99. Yeah, I got it super cheap. I got it for like $10 or something. Okay. Does anyone have any other questions for me? Any other? Yeah, it just takes some use to get into playing around with stuff. Because the biggest deal is when you're doing, especially airbrushing, you want to make sure when your stencil's on your cookie, first of all, you want to make sure you have as even and flat of a surface as you can when you flood it. And then also when you put the stencil on, you want to make sure that it's sitting as flush as you can on the surface of the cookie. That's going to give you those really crisp lines. Trisha, I have 3 buckets of minis left. They are the Cookies for Santa minis, so it has 6 little they look like little chocolate chip cookies, and then it has 6 of those and 6 carrots for the reindeer. So I have 3 of those left. So if you're local and you are wanting to get in on that, just message me and let me know. Lacey, sometimes I do. I have one here. When I was doing all my Christmas orders, I did because it would speed up my process. And when I was doing like 350 cookies, it was just helped me speed it up and let things crust over a little faster. So I'll pop them in there for about 10 minutes on the lowest setting, like 80 degrees, just to let them kind of crust over, just so I can move along. These actually were flooded way earlier today. So they were sitting, I had them in the dehydrator for probably about 10 or 15 minutes just to crust them over faster. And then I let them sit out and they dried the rest of the way. And they sat out for probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 hours. But they're like completely set and dry now. I can show you really quick kind of how I do my stencils. It's going to be hard to see because it's a really big book. But I can kind of show you. I'm all the way zoomed out. So it's this huge binder, right? It's just a random binder that I got, I think at Walmart or something. And I have these, they're these little sheets. They're by the Cookie Countess. And each one has 4 openings. And you'll see back here, I either use, I'll flip back and I'll show you. I either cut my own with cardstock. So like this pink color, it is cardstock. And they're like 6 by 6. That's the size of the pockets. Or a lot of times what I'll do is, I'll flip back and show you. I will use the cards that come with the stencils. So like, just like a 2T stencil, I'll use that card that came with the stencil just in here. And you can do front and back. So on each sheet that has 4, you can actually do 8 stencils per sheet. So I have a whole big binder here just full of stencils. And I got this binder, I think at Walmart or something. It was super cheap. It was like 10 bucks or something. Belinda says, do you think I could use a toaster oven on the oven setting? Maybe if you have it on the lowest setting. And even then, just be very cautious and try it out and see how it does. Because you just want it to be as low heat as possible. I know some people dry them in their oven on the lowest temp, and I think it's like 170. And they do that for a little, like a few minutes, like 10 or 15 minutes. I've never done that. I just didn't get a whole... I think I tried it one time and it didn't give me a real good outcome, so I just didn't do it. But I always say just give it a go and see how it goes. Yeah, it's a lot of stencils. I have, just like cookie cutters, I have a problem with stencils too. Nothing new there. If you knew me, you know. What do I not have a ton of? So does anyone have any other questions for me? Any more? Like I said, if you guys think of all your questions too next week, we'll go through and we'll answer as much as we can on a live next week. So anything y'all see and you're having burning questions for, just write them down and keep them because we'll go over them. All right. So if everyone is good for this evening, I am going to go ahead and sign off. Like I said, this is my last thing to do before my little break. So it's going to be exciting. Yeah, Ginny, I have a cookie room. I converted, because I do everything out of my home. I converted our formal dining room to, it's my big cookie room now. So it's where I store everything. It's where my table right here where I decorate everything. So I have a live on the page. If you go back and look at our videos on the Dots and Bows, our regular like what you're on now, if you go back through our videos, I did a live showing you around my cookie room. So if you want to check that out. All right. So I want to wish you guys like the merriest of Christmas. I know you guys all will have a good one. I hope everyone that's baking cookies for orders, I hope it's done or you're almost done and you can relax. So yeah. So Merry Christmas. Thank you so much for always supporting us. We love you guys for that. So we will see you all next Wednesday. So get your questions ready. I'll be refreshed. We'll be ready to go. All right. You guys have a Merry Christmas, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.